Good morning and welcome to the Up Zone. We are your two hosts, Mr. Elmer Floyd, former House Representative for the 43rd District in the state of North Carolina, myself, Tisha S. Waddell, former City Council member for the 3rd District in the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And we do have a special guest who will be joining us in just a few minutes. But before we get to that, Mr. Floyd, how you doing today?
So far, so good, so good, so far. And it's drizzling out here, and my predators won't knock on my door because it's drizzling rain. Thank God.
Listen, it's drizzling out there, and I keep looking in my backyard, and I'm always reminded of the impact of a high water table when it rains in this community. And Mr. Floyd, speaking of rain in this community, and I know this is not one of our show topics, but have they announced what they're going to do over there east of the river yet, or are they still just thinking about putting a straw in the middle of the ocean?
I don't know, the straw in the middle of the ocean. The staff have already said, and the amount of money that they are going to let is $8.8 million. And what the staff was honest, they was honest, and they was honest.
And they were honest.
It's not going to stop your problem.
Yeah,
It's not going to stop your problem.
it's not even going to help.
Yeah, I mean, but you raise the street level up 2 feet, and beyond the flat land, I think the water will run back towards the house. I'm not
I
sure.
I think you might be right, Mr. Floyd. You're gonna have clear streets and flooded houses.
Now, I think now, I'm not sure now.
which is a sucky solution. That's a horrible solution.
I mean,
But nonetheless, I
it's only
digress.
it's only $8.8 million.
That's all. It's just a drop in the bucket. It's just a drop in the bucket. It's just a part of what the Cumberland County Commissioners beat the City Council out of when they changed the way the taxes were going to be distributed. It's just a little bit of money,
That's all it is, Steve.
just a little bit. Mr. Floyd, what announcements you got for our community today?
Well, one thing that is going to take place again. We're talking about money. We spent about $200 to change Fort Bragg to Fort Liberty.
Okay, wait, pause right there. I'm all right with it.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm
I'm
just
all right with it. I told you why. Because this is Fort Bragg, the home of the ranger and the paratrooper. And let me just say this. It's always been that and it will always be that. And it was stupid for them to change all of these bases, the names of them. But whatever. Go ahead, Mr. Floyd.
it's
I
only two
digress
hundred
again.
dollars that it costs to change your name. So we'll spend another $200,000 to change it back. So let's move on. That's
It's
all it
just
is.
a just a drop in the bucket.
That's
Where
all.
we at now? We almost at 10 million now with that, right? That's it.
So,
Okay.
so
Go
uh,
ahead. What else we got?
the NAACP is going to have a common cause rally, and that will be February the 16th at
Tell
2
people what Common Cause is just in case they don't know, Mr. Floyd.
It's a political action group,
Okay.
which is sort of like non-partisan, as well as NAACP, and they're gonna have this as it relates to the both Supreme Court justices because the case keep going on and on.
On and on and on and
So,
on.
so
Hmm.
they're going to have that. And on February the 27th at 6 p.m., former Commissioner Evans is going to have his Project First Start as it relates to moving in and helping people get expungements.
Right?
So that will be on February 27th at Fayetteville State University, and then systematic racism in Cumberland County at February the 22nd, and that will be at 306 MacArthur Road. Those who want to continue to participate can join. And also, if you want to find out some other African American history and programs and projects, if Fayetteville Deserve, I have a host that you might want to look at and might want to continue to participate.
Yeah. I know that City View, not City View, that Up and Coming used to have information on their page too. I don't know if they still do or not, but absolutely you can find a lot of information about what's going on in our community right there online. Mr. Floyd, how do you keep your ear to the ground and know what's going on?
Well, it's through accident.
That's not the answer I was looking for. I thought you were going to say it's because I read all of the newspapers. I was about to plug every newspaper in our community.
Yeah, I mean, I spend most of my morning, like you said, dipping and dabbing in the news media
Right,
across the state.
right. So, of
So,
all of the papers, just as a quick sidebar, of all of the newspapers, which do you think are the most efficient at delivering information for our community that you would point our listeners to if they want to start kind of looking at this on their own?
well, most of them give you headliners.
Mm-hmm.
Later come into full stories. So the News and Observer, if you're looking at something statewide, has the best information. And it has, like fact check to see whether or not someone is true in what they say about
Right.
whatever they say, whether or
Mm-hmm.
not it's true. And then, I look at the Charlotte Observer, and sometimes I go to the Greensboro, then sometimes I go to WTVD, WRAL, the channel down in Wilmington, you know, that's just to keep, to keep abreast.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's a lot, and then quite naturally, we read our favorite observer and the editorial. I mean, the E edition of the Federal Observer, just like the E edition of the News and Observer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a constant a thing, just like someone said that the Civic Center may be delayed. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that automobile, but I think I sent you a picture of
You
where
did. Would you like for me to put that up so our audience can see it?
a nice little truck putting up an electrical box
Right.
to why that facility, once it get to wherever it is, that's already it's going to be placed across the street from the Civic Center.
Right. And
So
Mr. Floyd, it's so interesting because they're just trucking right along, and people are so confused about what the parking situation is going to look like. They're so concerned about what it's going to look like if they have to go to the courthouse or to the sheriff's office and have a conversation with these people, like where are they going to park if they've got to answer a citation. But as you said, the work is moving right along.
it's moving right along. I mean, if you see that, that's a crane that lifting that little green box to set
Mm-hmm.
it over to your left there. So they're moving right along with the project, but I still say is that the footprint is real small for that facility.
Well, we'll see how it goes. Mr. Floyd, what else you got for us in terms of
Well,
announcements?
that's it until we look at the city and county as it relates to their meeting with the Cumberland County delegation, and what we could do that after we do our interview with the Cumberland County Sheriff.
Awesome. Well, I want to go ahead and take the if you don't mind, I'd like the honor of being able to introduce our guest. We have with us today Sheriff Ennis W. Wright, who is the first black to the black the first. I'm black. I can do this. I'm a black woman. I can do this. Okay. It's February. It's Black History Month, and in honor of Black History Month, we have the first African American sheriff to serve in Cumberland County with us, Sheriff Ennis Wright. He is a North Carolina native. He's actually born and raised here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. He's a graduate of Terry Sanford High School. He earned the nickname playing basketball. I would tell y'all his nickname, but I told my husband I'm not even going to put him on Front Street like that. I'm going to save that until another day when I just see him in person. After attending Caldwell Community College on a basketball scholarship, so apparently he was good. He enlisted in the U.S. Army and served honorably as a squad leader, platoon sergeant, and drill sergeant. Mr. Floyd, I can see the drill sergeant in him still. Okay. He has been with the county sheriff's office since 1997, and he has ascended through the ranks, becoming deputy chief in 2014. And he was appointed to sheriff in 2017 and has subsequently been elected and reelected into the position. He emphasizes community engagement and transparency, which we love here at Upzone because that is what we are all about. He launched the Citizens Academy to educate residents about the services provided by the Sheriff's Office. And he's also a member of the North Carolina Sheriff's Association and has multiple certifications, and he's just an all around really cool guy. Like, we've got a great sheriff in our community, and I'm very honored to be able to introduce him. Also, Mr. Flood, we talked about this ad nauseum. We're not going to talk about it today, but he is the legend who's responsible for filing the lawsuit against State Auditor Beth Woods, alleging that they exceeded their authority. And he, like I said, he's just somebody who we're very glad to have join us this morning. Good morning, Sheriff Wright. How are you?
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Now, Mr. Floyd, I couldn't see his face when I was talking about his basketball time. Did we elicit a smile from our sheriff?
I was the point guard then. I didn't give him the ball when you
Oh,
know
you would have
Sheriff,
gave it, Paul.
he would have had to. Sheriff Wright, I want to ask you a question before we get started. A lot of people don't really understand the responsibilities or the scope of what your office does beyond law enforcement. Can you just take a moment and break down the key roles and responsibilities of your department from patrol operations and detention services, et cetera? And can you also share just how you coordinate with other law enforcement agencies to keep Cumberland County safe?
Yes, ma'am. The sheriff office, we have a variety of things that we do. Everybody thinks that the sheriff just serves papers and run a jail. We do more than that. We do patrol. We patrol neighborhoods. We patrol with the courthouse. We have to take care of the courthouse. We got the jail. We have the jail. This morning, that jail is sitting over with 700 folks over there. Yeah, that's a lot of people in that jail. We take care of that. We got to transport those people back and forth to court, to appointments. We got to make sure they get to the doctor's appointment. We got to make sure they get over to the courthouse. All that is done. As I say, we transport mental subjects out of this county. The sheriff is the only one authorized to do that. The cities, the cities and townships, they'll pick them up, take them to the hospital, but it's my job to get them out of the county up to these different places. Now, when they closed Dorothy Dix up, they really put a workload on us because we have to go all the way up to Asheville to take people up there. So, if I send somebody to Asheville, I got to send two people up there. And I'm pulling them off the road to do that. And so I'm taking them out of the neighborhoods to transport these people to these mental health facilities. Also, we do school resource officers. That was a big issue. School resource officers. I think when I made that decision to pull my people out of the city schools, I think it upset a lot of people. But I could not afford to keep my people in those schools anymore because I was not honoring the contract that I had with the school system because I did not have the personnel to work those schools. So we ended up doing just the county schools. So that's what we do. So now I have 25 SROs for the county schools. So we have 25 schools that's within the rural areas of the county. So that's the ones we take care of. Also, as you say, we work with our partners with other cities, with our police department. But see, everybody depends on the sheriff office because they think that the sheriff office has a whole lot of folks laying around. We do not. We do not have a lot of folks laying around. As I said before, I'm supposed to have 329 deputies. I don't have 329 deputies. I have 274 deputies. So that's right there. That's 54 deputies short. I'm supposed to have 171 DOs, detention officers, in that jail over there. I don't. I have 72. So that leaves me
Pa-
with
Pause right there. Pause right there because that blew my mind when I read that. That you're supposed to have, say that again, 160,
171.
and you
171
have
people.
how many in there?
I have 72 people over there working at jail.
And you just told us that you have over 700 people in the detention center. And Sheriff White, what type of pressure does that put on a person in that type of position to be able to maintain their excellence and maintain the things that they are required to do while being understaffed in that way? And how are you how what kind of support are you looking for from those who fund the sheriff's office to be able to help you rectify that?
Ms. Waddell up there, those folks that work at jail, I admire those folks that work in that jail, but it takes special people to work over that detention officer to deal with those folks, please. But see, you over there, I always tell these people, the patrol officer will pick them up and bring them to you. Okay, that patrol officer probably dealing with that person maybe 2 or 3 hours at the most if he's dealing with that long. You're dealing with that person 24/7. That's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You got to deal with and take care of that person. So it takes a special person to do that. Yes, it's stressful. It's very stressful now because of the shortage over there. And they work. The folks work overtime over there, which is, I'm very happy that they, are dedicated to doing that. As I said, it takes special people to work in that detention center. over there. You know, it's a lot easier for these other folks to pick people up, you know, on petty stuff and bring them to that jail. See, and then my people has got to sit there and deal with these people. Uh, Miss Waddell, Miss Floyd, you know, a lot of folks in that jail need to be at mental facilities. We got a lot of people over there that need mental help over there. But my people have to deal with those people because we can't throw them out on the street. So we got to sit here and wait for beds to come open or to get these people to a facility that they need to be. But you know, I'm very thankful for the ones that stay here, that works over there, you know, and Ms. Floyd, there's nothing against you now, Ms. Floyd, but you know, I it's a shame that I have more females working my jail than I do males. And I just don't understand it. You
What
know,
do you think that's attributed to, Sheriff Wright?
I don't, well, a lot of it do with the background. When we start doing background checks, you know, here we go, we got a felony here, this and that, you know, because a lot of young folks don't realize, I always tell them, you know, what you do today is going to affect tomorrow. It's just going to do that. It's not going to go away. So I think a lot of got to do with that. But a lot of, and it goes back to the DOs, the females working on, I think it has a lot to do with how they talk to these people. I always tell these people, treat those people like people over there, show them respect. You know, and a lot of times you get respect back from those people over there. But I just think it's that, you know, when you go through the background, see, we can't just pick anybody off the street and put them over there. This is like making a person a law enforcement officer. I can't just pick anybody and say, okay, you can be a law enforcement officer. You know, it takes a while to get somebody to do these jobs. You know, as I said, we got schools going on right now. I got the detention officer school going on. Got law enforcement officer academy going on. So, but yeah, but at the same time, you know, it's just that way.
Right.
But those folks are dedicated. Uh, I want to thank the commissioners, and I want to thank the county manager for, you know, trying to get us some incentive. You know, they gave us this money that we can use. So the money that they're giving us, uh, what I want to do is give it these folks that's here so I can have retention, give them that a one-time stipend.
Let's talk about the retention, Sheriff, right? Because if you're already down manpower, and when we looked at the numbers, Cumberland County's rate of pay is a little bit different than some of these smaller counties. Mr. Floyd, what were those numbers you were looking at?
Well, when we looked at Sanford, it was like somewhere in the neighborhood of about 54. Rocky Mount somewhere in the neighborhood of about 62.
Right,
Greensboro in the neighborhood of about 59. So not only does the sheriff have to look at the bonus, and sheriff, I'm not being critical, but also the sheriff got to increase the salary to maintain retention, and that comes with the county board of commissioners to
right.
look from across the board. A bonus is good. It is
Mm-hmm.
good.
But a pay raise is even better.
But
That's
even better.
talking to, and I have to, you know, I have to give the new county manager his kudos. You know, since he's been here, him and I have worked good together, and we're working on another pay raise for the DOs and the law LEOs. We have to, just like I said, we can't keep competing. Sanford, we talking about Sanford. You know, where they're sitting there making more money than my deputies are making. You know, that's a small agency. So, you know, a lot of young folks look at, well, why should I go to this large agency where I got to do a lot of work when I can go to a smaller agency and get paid more, do less work? See? So that's what we're looking at. But like I said, this budget term, we'll turn around. We're gonna give see if we get another bonus. And like I said, county manager's on with it. So you know, that's one of
Let
the
me
things.
ask you a question. What's the capacity of the jail?
The passenger, I have 884 beds over there.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Now,
So,
you know,
Sheriff, you almost at capacity. You about 100 and
they
150, 100.
Uh, even with being at capacity, 884 beds, I'm still short detention officers. So a lot of those cell blocks I can't open because I don't have the personnel to run those. You know,
What
so
are
when
you?
we,
I'm sorry. What are you attributing the what is the what kind of crime are we seeing in our community, and what can our community do to help curb some of what we're seeing so that we can attempt to slow the rate of filling up that detention center?
Well, a lot of it is, we tell people you see something, say something. A lot of times folks be, I don't want to get involved. But people got to understand, those are your neighborhood. That's your neighborhood. We're only going to be in that neighborhood so much. If you sit there and you allow this to fester, then when it gets to the point where it gets to your front door, then you want to call us, it's kind of too late. You need to call us at the beginning of this. And a lot of people don't understand that when it comes down to that. Like I say, we're short patrol, we're short in the detention center. But I always tell my people, you know, when a citizen dial 911, he don't want to hear that. He's not concerned with that we're short. He wants a deputy there when he dial. That's what, and I always tell him that. And that's what we do. I have to give it to the folks that I have here that's dedicated here. Because, and you and I both know, a lot of these young folks, attitudes a lot different than ours when we came up. It's like I went to contracts, and I really hated to do contract because if Mr. Floyd give me his word and shake my hand, I like to take that as his word. But now we have to do contracts with these young folks, and I really hated to do that. But I was losing people because I was sending them to school. The county, we were paying for them, and then, like you say, they go out and find another job getting paid more. So that was the way for me to recruit my money when it came to, when it comes to these deputies and stuff.
That's smart. That's smart. Mr. Floyd, you have another question for our sheriff?
Sure. Now you mentioned that you are 72 officers in the detention, and you have
Mhm.
171 positions.
Right.
Please help me. I have a narrow vision. How in the world can 72 people and you're 172, 171 short? They truly got to be dedicated, sir.
Well, they dedicated Ms. Floyd, and I got an amazing major over there, Major Adams. She does an outstanding job along with her command staff, and like I say, and the dedicated Lord DOs, detention officers that work over in that jail. Because I'm telling you, Ms. Floyd, it takes special people to deal with folks in the jail. Like I say, Fayetteville City can pick them up, Oak Mills can pick them up and bring them there. They through with them. These folks got to sit there. They got to make sure these people get fed. They got to make sure they get to the doctor's point. They got to make sure they get medication there on the floor. Got to make sure they get to the court appointments. And at the same time, um, we spend a lot of money when folks bring people in here into this detention center. We take people to that hospital out there. They have to get surgery. That's over in that's in that jail over there
Mm.
going on there. But I got two people over there that are helping with these folks when they do get out. That hopefully they don't end up back in there. So they're doing a good job with that we have over there.
About I know in the past cities, cities have formed and provided resource officer for their schools. And I was talking to someone, I don't know whether or not it was true or false. And what the city was doing is say if something happened at one of the schools, they call the sheriff to, if they can, to drive over there out of the county to look at this concern that they have. Is that true or false? Or
See, at the time they was doing it when we was covering all the schools, and I said before, if something would happen, say on the weekend and on weekdays, if school is closed during the after hours, it happened in the city. Let me say, if something happened at Terry Sanford, they would call my people to go over there and investigate that. You know, it was pulling folks from out of the county to come into the city to take care of that incident. And we was losing a lot of man hours, a lot of people being drawn into that. So now, what the system is set up now, being that the city is responsible for the city schools and I'm responsible for the county schools, I don't do that anymore.
funny because sometimes you hear things and it sounds good and it sounds bad, but it seems to me, why would it be necessary for you to leave Eastover, hypothetically now, Eastover,
Mhm.
and then go to Terry Stanford for a long? It just doesn't make sense, sir.
Well, hey, and I feel the same way you do, Miss Floyd. I tell you, I get frustrated, but they call and tell me, well, the city wouldn't take that call. On the weekends, kids are breaking into the school, or call the county. It's county responsibility, but we all law enforcement.
But now,
Absolutely.
now, one thing. This is something that I said, and I salute you. I don't know of any person of your capacity that does not need to have a legal counsel, and I believe that you have one, and I salute you for that because I don't want you to go out here and make these decisions without a legal counsel.
Mr.
Well,
Floyd, I think he has much better sense than
I'm
that.
just saying, people criticize. People
look,
criticize.
look, before I always tell people, look, I wasn't the smartest person in that classroom, but I had a lot of common sense. Okay, Mr. Floyd. So you have to have dedicated lawyer this day and time. You know, even a lot of times, me and my lawyers, he go, well, sure, you can't do this, and I say, yeah, right, I'm gonna do it. But no, I listen to what he says, follow the law, because you got to have it. You got to have it. And not only it saves the sheriff, the deputy, it saves the county for spending a lot of money on
Absolutely.
lawsuits.
But
Absolutely.
some people have said uh, that the sheriff don't need an attorney. And I asked
Well,
that person that day, have you taken your medication? Not the sheriff.
well, I'm glad you did.
You
You
taking
know,
your medication.
when I first started this sport, somebody told me, said, well, you don't need a lawyer, you need a part-time lawyer. I said, no, I need two more lawyers. That's what I need. No.
I know that's right. I have one more question, and I know I didn't I just thought about this as we've been talking, so forgive me. With the legislation that's coming down from Washington, D.C., how is that impacting your workload and how is that affecting what your personnel is required to execute in our community?
Okay, right. So as of now, it hasn't affected us, okay, because nobody's been down here. This, but again, we go back to what Mr. Floyd said. You got to have a good lawyer. You know, a lot of times, ICE folks will come down. They pick, you tell them you got these folks. They'll tell you they're coming to get them, but then you end up holding these folks for 3, 4 days or more. Then you will set ourselves up to be sued by holding detaining these people because these people haven't come down to get them. So we haven't been affected by that yet.
Okay. And how can I guess I had one more question. How can our community support the work of the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office? And how can we, because one of the things that we always try to tell our audience is our advocacy matters and where we put our voice, our dollars should follow. So what do we need to be articulating to our Board of Commissioners, to our legislators in Raleigh, to Washington, D.C., to make sure that we have the highest and best funding and legislation to support our sheriff's office?
Exactly what you said. That we need someone that's supposed to get there and back us. A lot of times these young people feel sometimes that they're out here working, putting their life on the line for people they don't know, and nobody is caring about. I always tell people, if you see an officer or deputy, speak to them. They're just like anybody else. But, as far as that, uh, legislature wise, just tell them, hey, these officers, they need some help. They need some money. Because, technology now in law enforcement costs money. And we're still, trying to, we just got a grant for a robot, for the bomb robot and stuff. We just got a grant for that, and a lot of times we try to find ways where we don't put the burden on the citizens where we take money from there. So, a lot of folks was upset when we first started about our command post. No, it did not cost the county any money for that command post. That was fortune money that brought that command post. The motorcycles that we have, no, that was fortune money. The Bearcat that we need for the citizens and the officers, that was fortune money. So, I'm always looking for ways where we don't put the burden on the citizens in this county. So we do pretty good there with that. But at the same time, we have to have this bomb squad. We have to come to Canada. We have the only bomb squad really around here. We support Hope Mills. We support Hope County, Hornet County. Sanford, down in Bladen County. Everybody calls on Cumberland to do. You know, like I said, we just got reaccredited this time, gold standard. So that says a lot about this agency. That says a lot about my men and women that work here. But you just can't get gold standards, you know, with accreditation.
Let me ask you a question. When I was in the General Assembly, there was some concerns of, with the African American shirt. I know, it has changed now, but they had a problem with keeping a person beyond, I think it was 48 hours until an ICE person come and pick those persons, up.
Mm-hmm.
That caused an additional burden on the county to keep that person X days beyond the 48 hours. But now
Right,
it's different. I mean.
right. See, and that's why I was telling you about the same thing when it comes to ICE coming in with these people. You know, you contact them and they'll tell you come in so many days. But as you just said, we at the time we were like, no, we're not holding those people because you're setting us up for a lawsuit with those people.
In many cases that we saw had already posted the necessary documents to be released.
Right, correct, correct.
You know,
It's a lot. You know, Miss Floyd, Miss Waddell, I would tell people if you want to know something about the sheriff office or the sheriff, come down to the sheriff office or call me. You know, don't listen to what's out there in the neighborhood or in the streets. You know, I always tell people, when we had all that protest going on and everything, I said, as long as you stand outside my window and make a lot of noise, that ain't doing you no good. Come inside and talk to me. That's all you got to do.
well, Sheriff, I'm gonna tell you, two places I try to stay from: police department, sheriff department, and IRS. No disrespect to you now.
Well, I know we're friends. I know we're friends.
We are friends, but I try to stay away from those facilities.
Look, don't worry about it. I give you a blue jumpsuit. I'll make you a trustee. You'll be all right.
Now, I appreciate the offer, and I appreciate all the work that you do.
You'll pass.
Yeah, I appreciate all that. And when I look at your officers, you know, I see the zeal that they have, but no disrespect to you, sir. I just prefer to stay away.
Sheriff
All
White,
right.
I want you to tell our audience any final thoughts that you want them to have in regards to your agency, your officers, yourself, and how you all serve. Just let us know what we need to know so that as we close out this interview.
But let's say this, why when you see a deputy, myself, whatever, let those officers know that you appreciate what they're doing. Okay. These guys are the ones at nighttime when you sleep out here riding around dealing with these folks out here.
Yeah,
You know, even though we're short personnel, we still gonna provide the citizens the service that we say we're gonna do, and that's what they do. Like I said, it takes dedicated young people to do this job. You know, things that's going on now in this country. Where I don't want to get political, but where we pardon 150 some criminals that attack officers, that doesn't send a good message, to these young folks out here. Where I went out here, I did my job, and the rest of these people, yet these folks get let go because of certain politics. That don't work. I would tell people to be a good law enforcement officer, we can't drop our standards. I don't drop standards here. I don't drop standards here. I prefer, and they always say, me, I work short before I have a person sitting over here that's a liability to myself and the citizens.
yes,
So a lot of times you see me get rid of a person, they at another agency, but they shouldn't be when they leave here. But you got to have standards. As long as you keep your standards, you're doing pretty good. You know, but standards
absolutely.
starts at the top, so it starts with me.
Well, go ahead, Floyd.
I know the early part of the 20s that your budget was cut 18%. And what we don't realize, there's not that many houses built in the city of Fayetteville. Is when I drive through the county, I see subdivision
Oh,
popping up
yeah.
like trees.
Everywhere there's empty lot, they put in houses. They put in the neighborhood. And
So I
somebody
just
got
don't,
to know it.
I just don't
Mhm.
understand that philosophy saying that when the city annexes, which the city can't annex anymore, based upon the Big Brain Index. But I'm gonna tell you, when I ride through the county and I see subdivision on top of subdivision, That
Yes, sir.
requires for sure.
hmm And like I said, it requires somebody patrolling.
Somebody has to look, somebody has to respond to the call.
Yeah.
Sheriff Wright, we certainly appreciate you taking time to sit with us. And we do appreciate your obligation to transparency and ethical governance and making sure that our communities do remain safe. Listen, I knew when they said the SROs were being pulled, I said it's more to this story. And I'm
But
glad that as we see it unfolding, we get to see what the reality is.
right,
I
you
want
know,
to go ahead.
no, and that was the thing. When everybody was running around there talking, nobody knew what was going on. You know, the reason why. You know, why we were doing that. You know, as I said before to you, you know, we could not honor the contract we had with the school because we had no SROs in there at the time.
Absolutely. And we think the world, me and Mr. Floyd say every time we get on this show and start talking about public safety, when we call 911, we want somebody to show up. So we do not believe in defunding the police, the sheriff's department, or any of those things. And we give accolades to the hundreds of law enforcement officers in our community who serve with honor, and we want to tell you, please thank your men and women in uniform for us and let them know that we stand behind you all and we just appreciate and love the work you do. And you tell them if they see us in the streets, no, we're waving at them to tell them we appreciate you.
Well, I'm gonna tell them stop Mr. Floyd though.
Like I said, three places that I'm gonna stay away from, sir. You don't have to worry about that now. Not even by accident.
No,
Yeah.
see, hey, Miss Waddell, see, he's supposed to he's supposed to take us to lunch, but he ain't took me to lunch yet. See, you know,
he'll
y'all,
make he'll make
But
it happen. Mr. Floyd try to pretend like he don't have no money, Sheriff Wright, but
no.
he'll make it happen.
but I tell but every time I call him, he's not in. And I'm on my way, Teach, to carry him and the attorney to lunch. I'm on my way.
He going to a call. They short staffed. He got to work. He got to work.
So I let
Mr.
this
Wright, Sheriff Wright, we're not gonna hold you, but we are gonna ask you to come back another day. So thank you for accepting this invitation, and we hope you'll do so in the future again. Go ahead, Floyd.
Teach Sheriff Wright, the first of 2025, I'll be there. 26.
Okay.
26.
All right. Well, y'all have a good weekend. And thank
You
you.
too, sir. Thank you so
26.
much.
26.
Mr. Floyd, it's always such an honor and a pleasure to be able to have a good guest come on and share with us their experience. I take issue with the fact that we are not demanding that our legislators put more money into the coffers of public safety. I do recognize that public safety is one of the largest tranches of our budget, but with good reason, because you see what all is required by these agencies, Mr. Floyd.
Well, I think it's more so set with the county itself. I believe the General Assembly can help them with other, material items, as you mentioned, a robot,
Absolutely.
but the salary wise is left up to just like the school teachers, with the supplements and all that. It's something that the county must bear. Because if you notice, just last week and the week before last, I believe that both our local government met with the Cumberland County delegation and asked that certain things be considered as they move
Right.
through the General Assembly process. And this year, the budget goes to the Senate side first. The governor's budget goes to the Senate side first, and then it comes over to the House. But you don't have to worry about it. The House is not going to agree with whatever budget the Senate sent over. It don't make no difference. I ain't waste no time. They're not.
well, you mentioned this delegation meeting. So we saw the city, the county, and our state legislators get together for a meeting. In this meeting, we saw several initiatives be discussed. One of which was infrastructure and transportation. So the Fayetteville City Council is still asking for direct flight connections, one of which they're seeking to have go into Washington, D.C. Mr. Floyd, I just think that this demonstrates a huge tone deafness of our Fayetteville City Council members as it relates to national news, because when this airplane and helicopter crashed in Washington, D.C., one of the things that continued to be reiterated throughout the different reports is that the volume of traffic coming into the airport there is 25% higher than what it was slated to be able to handle. So I don't think that at this time they're necessarily trying to increase traffic into that airport. What are your thoughts about that?
I think, first of all, let me say it is good that the city continues to see if they can get flights to Washington, D.C. On the other end, you have those senators is saying that it's too much of an air traffic load, and they have filed legislations to limit the number of flights going into there, because you got about four. I'm sorry, you got about three airports, international airports, within a 30-mile radius. I think you got Washington, you got Reagan, and then you have the one, up by Baltimore. So, and then the fourth one is that you have military flights there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real heavy traffic pattern. But if they believe that they can get that direct flight, then continue to try. But you also got people fighting against additional flights going into that airport. But please try, because I was talking with one of my friends, and you know him, Dodgewell, and he indicated to me that for a carrier to set up in Fayetteville, they first got to invest $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's their initial investment for a flight. And then, quite naturally, they want to make sure that they recruit that for its passengers and any
Right.
cargo that's going that way. So it's a difficult task, but please, by all means, continue to try.
Right. So we also saw coming out of the discussion a conversation with Councilmember Lynn Green and Senator McInnes discussing the impact of stringent development regulations on housing affordability. So they were talking about the addressing this affordable housing crisis that our community finds itself in. Representative Diane Wheatley indicated that affordable housing solutions are forthcoming. They are a forthcoming topic at the state level. And Green expressed some optimism about increased collaboration with the county commissioners to tackle housing challenges. I just want to say that I do also share that optimism because of the fact that we now um, have Commissioner Deviere at the helm as the chairman, and that is something that has always been important to him. Mr. Floyd, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, some 2 years ago, Commissioner Adams mentioned that they was looking at building 48 houses in the Shaw Heights area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I haven't heard that much conversation, and I wish that people would stop talking about affordable housing, because
Yeah.
there's no such thing as affordable housing.
Yeah, because affordable is relative.
Given what
Right.
it costs to build a house, why not say that we want to build houses, you know, for individuals?
And
Because
let's focus on increasing the wage here, the median wage here. Let's focus on increasing that.
and that's I mean, back when you was growing up, there was a senator named Senator Brooks out of Massachusetts. They had the rule of thumb, and then it changed, is that no more than 25% of your income should go to housing.
Mm-hmm.
Now push that up to about 30. So, you know, if you're working at Amazon, for instance, your base pay is somewhere between $30,000 and $35,000 a year. And now don't forget now, you got to get to work, okay? And you
Absolutely.
work, and
And
then and then it requires certain other things. So when you finish working, you might now don't forget, my good relatives, my good friends, whatever you make of that $30, they want
oh,
$10.
they listen. Do you know how many people are sitting back praying that the that under this administration the IRS gets dismantled?
I
They're
mean,
like, cut them out.
I mean, you know. So if you multiply that and you look at, can a person afford that? I mean, why not build housing? And
Right.
when you start talking about affordable housing, it's difficult. But you can
Absolutely.
build housing, and then
Absolutely.
back to that, whichever you want to call affordable. So I think that And then you have the North Carolina Housing and Finance, which finance, most of the houses, and they use federal matching dollars to expand that so that they can create jobs and also, housing. But
I was
again,
watching a YouTube video from the New York Times, and the topic of the video was the disconnect between the Democrat Party and their actual platform points. And the number one point that they talked about was affordable housing. And they talked about how these states that are blue states, where they have a blue House, a blue Senate, a blue mayor, a blue governor, where these states have the worst housing policies, and affordable housing is dictated at the policy level, because policy determines zoning, which determines what type of housing you can build. So when you look at that, and we saw this happen even with the conversation with Mayor Mitch Colvin's land east of the river, when you have zoning in place that prohibits a certain type of building, that encourages maybe only single family, you don't end up with the most affordable options, because everybody cannot afford or does not desire to purchase a house. Some people just want to rent an apartment or rent a townhome or something of that nature. So as they were discussing this, they were talking about this conceptualization of how Democrats in particular like the idea of affordable housing, but lack the intuition of how to roll it out in a way that they don't feel threatened by the reduction of their property rates.
what, well, my party, like several things, teach affordable housing, education, and healthcare.
Yeah, and all of them, and they even said with education, they said the worst schools are in these blue areas because it's still tied to property tax value. And listen, people that are, and you said this about your party, that people that are blue right now, that it's not the working man's party anymore,
You know,
that it's for the rich.
yeah, it has changed. I know, and we mentioned this, from a sidebar. And come right back to your subject. Uh, you know, when that you have a representative out of Guilford County
Yes.
that's always criticizing African American
And that
candidates.
representative, I'm going to say the name because I did some research. That representative is Representative Pricey Harrison out of Guilford County.
I mean, always. But
Hmm.
when we look back at our party, we had three persons that ran for council state did not receive any money. But she was quick to criticize those three African American candidates that did not follow her vision. Now, the other person, and that's Morgan Jackson, she didn't criticize him for not giving those other three candidates money, nor did she make a statement to that effect. So, to me, when I look at my party ought to quit siding or co signing her bills or have a come to Jesus meeting with her and the governor about how we plan for 26 and 28. That's the problem that we have to face. And my problem, again, now we talk about health care, we talk about affordable housing, and we talk about education. None of that is just going to just drop out of the sky. They're going to have to be appropriation. So when you only have one pie, that's all you got, one pie, and you cut the pie, it's still going to be the same.
Right. Right.
If you
Mr.
put,
Floyd, I have a little tickle going on over here because I just looked at our comments on our Upzone page, and apparently there's somebody on this page who is familiar with our sheriff, and they have posted his basketball nickname. So if you are interested in knowing what that nickname is, you can go over there because there's somebody having a field day telling us about the sheriff. So I would point people right onto our Facebook page. But I think it's unfortunate that Pricey Harrison has been permitted to, I got coffee on my shirt, has been permitted to move ahead with criticism of people in her party that don't look like her, while avoiding criticism of people in her party who are actually doing damage to the party, and still being sort of moved up through the ranks. And I'm not very familiar with Pricey Harrison. I'm only familiar with the conversations we've had and what I've read. And I would agree with you that there seems to be some discrepancy in how she's moving. And I would absolutely, if I were in the General Assembly, I would make a statement by distancing myself also.
Well, it's nice to have this conversation, but the Black Caucus, nor the House Caucus, nor the Democrat Party has the stomach to address these issues.
Well, and Mayor Adams has already told us why, because the party as a whole, from the top level down, has a policy of just be a good Democrat.
Mhm.
Just do what we say, don't make waves, and as long as you do what we say, we will push you where you need to be. And if you go against what we say, we're going to drag you down and stomp you in the ground until you remember to just be a good Democrat.
Well, see, that's the thing, Teach, that we are losing. We are losing. My party, as we go into this session of the General Assembly, we are losing Democrats. In
Mhm.
fact, now some of my committee members have switched their party affiliation.
Right.
That have worked with me for years has
Yeah,
switched.
they're coming on over to my side, Mr. Floyd. That the independent, unaffiliated side looks real good when you start realizing how convoluted these parties can become.
That's what they're doing. I mean, even some said, I'm not going to change my voting, as a Democrat.
Right. But I'm
I'm
changing my party. It's a statement. They're making a statement. And the only reason I think that we don't see more and more politicians moving into unaffiliated is because it's very difficult to run a campaign as an unaffiliated candidate because you need to either you've got to jump through these hoops in order to be able to get on the ballot if you're unaffiliated. So I think that's the major reason. And I think somebody needs to float legislation to change that because there should be an option for somebody who is unaffiliated to run for office,
Then again, you're asking either the Democrat or the Republican to give
to
up.
give up power.
Yeah. And so that's
Absolutely.
why you have that the unaffiliate must get X percentage of the governor race in order to get his or her name on the ballot. And so, you know, but I know I kicked you off way over that way there, but we were going to look at the Cumberland County delegation in their meeting with the city, but that just jumped in there. But the city is looking at $2 million for homeless support, $2 million
Mhm.
for the Cape Fear River Park, another $2 million for solid waste, $1 million workforce development, regional public safety $1 million, mental health $1 million, and a community-based what is $1 million for a community-based volunteer interruption program.
When
And
the county is asking for 128.5 million for from the state for various projects. So they're looking for money for a new E.E. Smith High School. That's over $60 million of that funding that they're asking for. A countywide public water and sewer infrastructure money for that. Um, there's no shortage of people asking for money from the state, and there shouldn't be. They should be asking for money from the state. But what do you think we're going to see? Because we've talked a lot about how this stuff moves, Mr. Floyd. So when
well,
we're looking at this and we're looking at our county delegation, our county representatives and our city representatives going in and asking for this funding, we're seeing them ask for funding for emergency services equipment, youth mental health services. How do you think this legislation is going to move? Because we've got Diane Wheatley and we've got Tom McInnes, who are both Republicans and who currently have the power to get things done. And then we've got Val Applewhite and Charles Smith and Francis Jackson. Am I missing anybody?
and Michael
Oh,
Colvin.
and Michael Colvin, who are essentially um, placeholders right now based upon the composition of the House and Senate. So, what do you think we'll see in terms of these actions?
Well, Teach, let me share with you this way here.
Hmm.
It's about a total, I'm gonna say about 15 or 17 requests, both
Okay.
city and county. Now, how this move through the General Assembly, there must be pieces of legislation introduced. Okay, whether you like it or not, there must be pieces of information.
Hmm.
If it's not put into a bill, it may be added into a conference report or a technical amendment, but it got to be in a bill.
Hmm.
What you must do as a citizen, what I suggest to you to do is go to the General Assembly. Okay, go to the General Assembly, and it will pull up the
I'm gonna
calendar.
pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up while we talk through it. Hold on. ncleg.gov.
Mhm.
We're gonna show people as we talk through it because I think this is super important. So let me share my screen. You tell me when you can see my screen.
Okay, I might not be able to see this good, Tish.
That's all right.
Okay, see, now I'm speaking of the House side. Okay,
Okay.
you go to the House side.
Okay.
Okay, that is the House side. Okay, and then you will. The calendar is not. Okay, you see on the right there where it say current calendar.
Uh-huh.
On the, you click onto that and you see what bills is introduced today, and you will see whether or not a member from Cumberland County had introduced a bill as it relates to these things that the county asked.
Well,
If you
let's browse through. Let's see. Nothing today.
no,
Nothing
if you
today,
click
Mr.
on
Floyd.
scroll back down, if you click on the blue, then that will give you the language that's in the bill. Okay, if you click on the blue now, and if you go to the
You can see
right,
the sponsors right here.
yeah,
Francis Jackson is signed on as a primary sponsor for this bill, and it's about the calendar for the school boards.
well, that that is going to be a good snowball bill.
I know what that means. I'm not even going to tell the people. They'll figure it out.
Okay, that's a good
Let's
snowball.
go. Let's see if we can see the archive. Let's look at the archive.
The archive give it to you from days. If you miss one day, you go through the archive and you can click on that day, and it will
So
tell
if we
you.
go to the 6th of February, this is the archive. So you can see here where you can tell where these what the bills are that were filed each day. And like
And,
you said, if you click on the blue, so I'll click here on the blue House Bill 62, you can see who signed on as a sponsor.
yes, and if you go to your left up there, you see that addition down the road
Uh-huh.
right there. You click on that. Okay, that give you the language that's in the bill.
Perfect.
Okay.
So if you want to follow what's happening at the state level, this is how you do it. You go right here, and this is how you follow what's going on at the state level. Again, that's ncleg.gov, North Carolina legislators.gov, ncleg.gov. You can follow for the state and the House. You can see what's been introduced, where it's at in the process, who signed on, who didn't sign on, and you can just kind of track what's moving through Raleigh that may be coming down to North to Cumberland County. Mr. Floyd, I'm gonna tell you what I thought was a piece of interesting legislation that I think is actually going to pass because of who it's coming from. The legislation to remove the requirement for tent inspections. I sent you that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting because when you go through and you listen to the language from law enforcement, they're saying, well, yes, it is difficult for our officers to be able to approach a vehicle if they can't say and see inside. But then they say, but on the flip side, our officers are trained to be able to handle that. And so, if this moves forward, the requirement would be that your tent can be what your tent is, but if you are stopped, you will have to roll your windows down so that they can see into your vehicle. I thought that was interesting because there are a lot of people who, for health reasons, like darker tint on their windows, like people who suffer from lupus. The sun really, really aggravates the symptoms of their lupus. So I think that's kind of interesting. That's one of those that I'll be keeping an eye on.
Well, you keep an eye on it, and most of those committees chairs like that bill will come through former law enforcement officers.
Absolutely. And I think what we see in like I said, and who is bringing it forward says a lot because it's yeah, it says a lot. But Mr. Floyd, let me ask you this. Do you expect that the needs of our Cumberland County commissioners and our Fayetteville City Council are going to be able to be met by this delegation?
Well, I think a snowball would enjoy it, the relationship.
Okay, well, what you want to leave our people with? Wait, let me make sure we hit everything. No, Shaw University. Let's talk about Shaw University. What's the latest on their
Well,
efforts to secure financial support?
well, Shaw, you have one group that's a nay on everything, and you have another group is saying let's see if we can't get our accreditation. Is one. Now we need to have a funding source. So what Shaw is trying to do, I think it's 50 plus, which is the
Mm-hmm.
minority group, is trying to get the funding to pay back debt. And also, I think they do accreditation at the last of the month.
Okay.
And the individual who is hollering about whatever, uh, I don't see them, I have not seen them come up with a revenue package. And so if Shaw is not able, St. Aug is not able to keep the college open, then they'll have to close. If they have to close, the building becomes deteriorated, and then next thing you know, somebody would come in, and Shaw and St. Aug have prime property in Raleigh.
Yeah.
Prime. And you say what? I'm talking about prime property.
Yeah.
I remember when I used to leave the General Assembly as we closed, I used to come down Blunt Street, and I used to see people standing all on the left side of Blunt Street. In my last year going down there, they had built several houses on the right hand side of Blunt Street. I didn't see them people standing up anymore.
Right.
And what I mean, they just built 6 to 10 houses on the right hand side.
Right.
And the left hand side, they no longer stand.
Right.
They didn't even need police.
Right.
They just built the houses.
Listen, that's what development will do. Development will drive out an undesirable element. It most certainly will. I love you. Have a great day. It most certainly will. I'm talking to my baby. She's getting ready to go to work. By the way, my daughter is now working, Mr. Floyd, at Lafayette Ford. So if you know anybody that's looking for a car, send them over to see her, okay? Okay. Shame, not a shameless plug at all. Just letting you know.
Okay,
She needs
okay.
to be able to pay her bills. So send them people on over there to see her.
If not, she has a working family that can do it. So don't even worry about
Amen. Bless the Lord. And that's the truth. And there's truth in that.
it.
Mr. Floyd, what you want to I look, but we can't float these kids for forever. What you want to leave our audience with?
Uh, mine is to watch the requests and the bills that the members of your delegation is going to put in for the city of Fayetteville. Now, please bear in mind that there is a crossover date. You follow that crossover date, and if it don't make crossover, then it's dead. If it make
Yeah.
crossover, it got a 50-50 chance in the short session for your bill to be heard. If it's crossover,
And what's that date again?
I think it's usually sometime in May.
So we need to be keeping an eye out for our audience because we don't want you to miss anything. So we'll keep an eye out for that crossover date so that we can let you know.
And you can go to the various committees and you can click on. And the beauty of that piece, the bills are in numerical order, so you don't have to work whether it's 10 and then it go down to whatever 20. It comes back to one, so
Mhm.
you can easily track your bill.
Sounds good. Well, I will leave our audience with what we said to the sheriff. If I call 911, I want somebody to show up. So if you will be so kind as to reach out to your legislators and let them know that our police department and our sheriff's department need some funding so that they can increase their rates of pay for their officers, I'd greatly appreciate it because I'd like to retain those who have been trained here. Because one of the things that I learned while I was on city council is we do a doggone good job training our people.
Well,
And to tr-
you're right.
and to train them and lose them to another community really sucks.
Well, you are a platoon agency. You are a platoon agency. You train them and they leave.
And they leave.
You are a platoon agency.
We don't want to be that. We don't want to be that. So talk to your legislators and ask them for some money. And God bless y'all and keep y'all. And my prayer for you is that you will find peace in the midst of all of the adversity and the storms, and that you would just, like an eagle, ride on the wind above all the mess. And Mr. Floyd, that's all I have. So I would like to ask the people to like, share, subscribe, follow, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, and to be sure, like don't miss a program because we get better and better, like wine, Mr. Floyd. We get better and better with age.
It's always unique.
Do you want to how's your show going over at WIDU? You want to tell the people
But
when to tune in?
tomorrow we have a roundtable discussion as it relates to past civil rights leaders at the local level here in Cumberland County.
Okay.
We always hear talk about the national.
Hmm.
But we didn't get what we got unless with those pioneers. So we just want to talk about some of those that helped, growing.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. What time do they need to tune in?
8 o'clock on WIDS.
8 a.m.
Yes, 8 a.m.
8 a.m. All right. So you heard the man. Tell a friend, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Hold on, it's stopping. Okay, it's stopping.